What happens when two of country music's biggest names sit down for what's supposed to be a friendly, lighthearted chat, and it turns into one of the most uncomfortable moments in daytime television history? You're about to find out, because what unfolded between Jason Aldean and Kelly Clarkson wasn't just awkward, it was explosive. Before we dive into the details, make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave a comment below telling me whose side you're on after hearing what really happened. Trust me, you'll have an opinion. The studio lights were bright. The audience was excited, and Kelly Clarkson was doing what she does best, welcoming her guest with that warm smile that's made her one of the most loved hosts in America. Jason Aldean walked out to thunderous applause, waving confidently to the cheering crowd. Everything seemed perfect. Kelly got up, gave him a friendly hug, and they both settled into their chairs. The audience buzzed with anticipation. This was supposed to be fun, easy. Two successful artists with massive fan bases and years of experience, just chatting about music, life, and maybe trading a few laughs. Kelly leaned forward with her note cards in hand, her natural warmth radiating as always. She started off with friendly small talk, asking Jason how he'd been, complimenting his latest tour, and mentioning how passionate his fans are. Jason responded politely, smiling, nodding, saying all the right things. But if you looked closely, there was something behind his eyes, a kind of caution, a quiet tension, like he was waiting for something to happen. And then it did. Kelly glanced down at her cards, then looked back up with that curious, thoughtful look she's known for when she's about to ask a tougher question. She asked him about his songwriting, the stories he tells, the people he writes for, and how he connects with his audience. It sounded harmless enough. Jason answered calmly, saying he writes from real life, from experience, from things that actually happened to him or the people around him. His voice was steady and controlled. But then Kelly leaned in just a little closer and mentioned how some of his recent songs had sparked conversations online, how fans seemed divided, how people were interpreting his lyrics in different ways. Her tone wasn't harsh, but there was an edge to it, a hint that she was pushing into deeper territory. Jason's jaw tightened slightly. His smile didn't quite reach his eyes anymore. He took a breath and said that he writes what he knows, what he feels, and what he's lived through. That's what country music has always been about, telling honest stories about real people and real life. He said he's not trying to please everyone. He's trying to be real. The crowd clapped. Some even cheered. Kelly nodded, but she didn't let the topic slide. She asked him if he ever thought about how his words might affect people differently, how something that feels true to him might come across as hurtful or exclusive to someone else. Jason shifted slightly in his seat, his posture changing. He sat up straighter, his shoulders squaring as he looked right at her. His tone firmed up. He said he respects everyone's right to feel how they feel, but he's not going to apologize for being himself or for speaking to the people who understand where he's coming from. He said there are plenty of folks who feel like their stories and their way of life are being ignored or looked down on, and he's proud to give them a voice. Kelly's expression softened at first, but then grew more serious. The warmth she's known for seemed to fade a bit. She carefully placed her cards aside, a move that felt intentional, like she was stepping off script. Then she asked him straight up whether he thought there was a difference between giving people a voice and feeding division. She asked if he ever worried that his songs, even unintentionally, might make people feel like it's us versus them. The room got quiet. The air thickened. This wasn't friendly banter anymore. It had turned into something real, raw, and tense. Jason didn't look away. He leaned back, let out a slow breath, and said that it's interesting how when someone like him talks about traditional values or small-town pride, it gets called divisive. But when others talk about their struggles or beliefs, it's called brave and meaningful. He said that double standard is exhausting, that some voices are celebrated while others get criticized, and he's tired of pretending otherwise. Kelly replied quickly, her tone calm but firm. She said she wasn't accusing him of anything. She was just asking about the responsibility that comes with having such a large platform. She said words matter, especially when millions of people are listening. and that maybe it's not about censoring yourself, but about being mindful of how your words land. Jason gave a tight smile and shook his head. He said, "That's the problem right there. This idea that I have to constantly tiptoe around people's feelings." He said he's been doing this long enough to know his fans, to know what they care about. He's not going to walk on eggshells to keep from upsetting someone. If people don't like his message, they don't have to listen. Kelly's answer came fast. She said, "It's not that simple, though, is it?" She said, "When you're in the public eye, especially someone with as much influence as Jason, you can't just shrug and say people can take it or leave it." She said words have consequences, and pretending they don't is either naive or irresponsible. The audience was dead silent now. A few people shifted in their seats. The tension in the room was heavy and palpable. Jason's expression hardened. He said he didn't come on the show to be lectured or made to feel guilty for having opinions that don't line up with what Hollywood thinks is acceptable. Kelly shot back that she wasn't lecturing him, she was having a discussion. And if he couldn't handle tough questions without getting defensive, maybe that said more about him than about her. She said she respected his talent, but respect didn't mean she had to agree with everything he said or avoid difficult conversations. Jason stood up, calm but clearly frustrated. He told her he thought they were done, that he wasn't interested in being grilled on live TV, especially not by someone who, in his view, clearly had an agenda. Kelly stood up too. Her voice rose slightly as she told him that walking away didn't prove anything. It just showed he wasn't willing to engage when things got uncomfortable. She said if he truly believed in what he stood for, he should be able to defend it without storming off. Jason turned to her, his tone low but sharp. He said there's a difference between being challenged and being attacked, and what she was doing felt like an attack. He said she invited him there under the pretense of a friendly chat, but from the first question, it felt like she was trying to trap him or make him say something she could use later. He said, "That's not conversation. That's a setup." The crowd gasped. Kelly's face went red. Her voice trembled slightly as she said that was unfair, that she'd been nothing but professional, and if he felt cornered, maybe it was because deep down he knew some of the criticism people had about him wasn't completely wrong. Jason's voice rose a notch. He said he's defensive because he has to be, because people are constantly twisting his words and trying to paint him as something he's not. He said he's proud of who he is, proud of where he's from, and proud of the people who support him. He said he's not going to let anyone, not even Kelly Clarkson, make him feel ashamed of that. Kelly fired back, saying that nobody was asking him to feel ashamed, they were asking him to be accountable. She said that accountability doesn't mean guilt. It means owning your influence and understanding its reach. Jason looked frustrated, running a hand through his hair. He said she keeps using that word, accountability, like it gives her the right to push her own standards on other people. He said he's accountable to his fans, his family, and himself, not to Kelly Clarkson's idea of what's acceptable. Kelly crossed her arms and said this wasn't about her or her standards. It was about decency and awareness. She said, when your music makes certain people feel alienated or misrepresented, you can't just say, "That's not my problem." Intent matters, but so does impact. Jason's tone grew sharp. He said she was twisting things again, that his songs are about pride, roots, and community. He said if someone twists that into something hateful, that's on them, not him. He can't control every interpretation. He said it's unfair to hold him responsible for what strangers might do or say because of how they read his lyrics. Kelly replied firmly that no one's asking him to control people, but they are asking him to recognize when his message gets misused and to speak up when it does. She said staying silent is a choice, and silence has consequences. Jason exhaled through his nose, shaking his head. He said she was asking for something unrealistic, that it's not his job or any artist's job to constantly monitor and explain how their work is received. He said art isn't supposed to be safe or watered down to avoid offense. It's meant to be real, honest, and unfiltered. Kelly's tone lowered, but her words cut deeper. She told him that using artistic freedom as a shield doesn't excuse ignoring impact. She said the greatest artists find a way to be honest and thoughtful at the same time. She said she wasn't asking him to stop being himself, just to be more aware, to grow, to understand that having a massive platform brings a level of responsibility that can't be ignored. Jason's voice went cold, precise. Hito!